everyone, today I will be teaching 10 steps of glycolysis in 10 minutes or maybe under 10 minutes. I'm not sure yet. So it begins with the molecule of glucose. It has 6 carbons, and in this first step the hydrogen of 6th carbon is replaced with phosphate. So this is done by using ATP. So a molecule of ATP is used. ATP has phosphate, which is added into the glucose, and the byproduct is going to be ADP. It is adenosine diphosphate along with H plus. So this step uses an enzyme called hexokinase. So the second step is isomerization, in which the glucose 6-phosphate is isomerized and converted into fructose 6-phosphate. And there isn't much change except for the structure. The amount of carbons are the same. There are still 6 carbons and 1 phosphate. The enzyme involved in this step is called phosphoglucose isomerase. And now the third step is going to be phosphorylation, in which another phosphate group is added with the help of ATP. So the phosphate group from ATP is added into the first carbon of the glucose 6-phosphate. And the byproduct again is going to be ADP plus hydrogen ion. So this is called fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and the enzyme used in this step is phosphofructose kinase. In the fourth step, aldolase enzyme is used on fructose 1,6-bisphosphate to produce dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So these are the two compounds that are formed. This needs to be converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to produce the further product. And the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate using an enzyme called triphosphate isomerase. So those previous 5 steps were the part of priming phase, which used 2 ATPs. And now this is the payoff phase, in which the ATP and NADH is produced. So the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate with the help of the enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Basically what it does, it removes the double bond and adds the phosphate ion, and by this process 2 NADH molecules are produced. In the step of dephosphorylation, this phosphate is removed, hence the 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. Here 2 ATPs are produced, and the enzyme used is phosphoglycerate kinase. So this is basically the repositioning phase, in which the 3-phosphoglycerate moves the phosphate group below, and it produces 2-phosphoglycerate as it is on the second carbon. This uses an enzyme called phosphoglycerate mutase. And now the 2-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. This is done by removing the OH from the OH ion to prepare it for converting into pyruvate. And this is done by the enzyme called enolase, and the byproduct are 2 molecules of H2O. And finally, phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate using the enzyme pyruvate kinase while producing two more ATPs. So, in summary, the total ATP that was consumed in the process were 2 ATPs, and the ATP produced were 4 ATPs. But since 2 ATPs were used, we are going to subtract 2 ATPs from here, and the net ATP is going to be 2. And NADH produced were 2. So the total ATPs were 2 and NADH were 2. Also, this process occurs in cytoplasm. And often people are confused how fructose 1,6-bisphosphate produces dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, like how the structure breaks. So I will be explaining that in my shorts. So make sure you do check out my channel. And I'm pretty new to this, so I hope um, I will improve further. If you have any criticisms or anything else you want to know, be sure to comment down below, and I'll appreciate your feedback or constructive criticisms.